Today, we're going to journey back in time to a conflict that did more than just reshape nations and destroy empires. It fundamentally changed our very understanding of humanity itself.
This was World War II, the most devastating conflict in all of human history. A global struggle that left a permanent mark on our collective soul.
So, how did it all begin? Well, it started with invasion, and with fear, as raw ambition and ideology collided, igniting a war that would spread like a dark shadow across the entire globe.
The sheer scale of it is, well, it's just hard to comprehend. We're talking about more than 60 countries being pulled into this fight, nations from every single corner of the earth.
And the human cost. Over 100 million people were mobilized to fight, a scale of conflict the world had simply never, ever seen before.
The entire planet, really, it just became one vast battlefield. Cities were turned to rubble, borders were literally redrawn on maps, and for millions upon millions of people, life was changed forever.
But amidst all that chaos, beyond the grand strategies and the political maneuvering, there were other stories unfolding, quiet stories about the human heart. So if you look past the battlefields, what do you find? You find these incredible stories of courage, of immense sacrifice, and of the simple, powerful will to just survive against all the odds.
And it's in those darkest of times that you see the brightest light, right? Ordinary people doing absolutely extraordinary things. You had families risking everything they had to hide complete strangers, nurses tending to the wounded in silence under constant fire, and soldiers facing their own death who would share their last piece of bread with an enemy who had suddenly just become human.
Because at its core, this was never just a war between nations. No, it was so much more. It was a fundamental war of ideas, a global clash between freedom and tyranny, between unity and fear.
And then, in 1945, after 6 long, brutal years of destruction, the guns finally fell silent. And that's when the monumental task of rebuilding the world truly began.
But the cost was immense. Just try to imagine this. Over 70 million people were lost, soldiers and civilians alike. An entire generation scarred by a loss so vast, it's hard for us to even wrap our minds around it today.
The physical destruction you could see, it was rivaled only by the psychological wounds you couldn't. Every single nation bore scars that time alone just could not and would not ever fully heal. And yet, out of all that unimaginable tragedy, a single powerful promise emerged. A promise that echoed across the entire world. Never again.
And from those ashes, humanity was forced to learn. We had to grow, and we had to build a new world on the foundations of our most painful lessons.
You see, that single promise, never again, it wasn't just words. It led to the creation of the United Nations. Former enemies began that long, hard road of cooperating for global peace. And in the wake of so much destruction, technology, medicine, our very definition of human rights, they were all forced to evolve.
And through it all, standing there amid the ashes and the rubble, the human spirit, our capacity for hope and the will to rebuild, it proved to be this powerful, absolutely unbreakable force.
World War II didn't just change the world's maps, it changed its mindset. It taught us that true strength, well, it isn't found in domination, it's found in compassion.
And it taught us that peace is not a sign of weakness. No, it is the ultimate expression of wisdom.
So today, we remember. It is so important that we remember, not just the epic battles fought, but the individual lives lost and the fragile peace that was so dearly earned.
It makes you wonder, then, what really was the greatest victory to come out of this global catastrophe?
It was not the end of war itself, but perhaps, just perhaps, it was the beginning of a deeper understanding, an understanding of our shared humanity and our shared responsibility to protect it.
Hey, if you enjoyed this, do us a favor and hit that like button, share it with someone you think would dig it, and subscribe for more explainers that bring our amazing shared